We're on our way to Jeffrey Epstein's infamous private island.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're separating verifiable truths from the sensational stories that have fueled countless conspiracy theories about disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein's mysterious life and death.
I mean, if you'd asked me in 2015, maybe even if you'd asked me in 2002, did I know a guy named Jeffrey Epstein? I probably would have said no.
Myth: Epstein's death was a murder orchestrated by influential elites.
Some breaking news right now. Disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein has taken his own life while he was behind bars here in New York City.
The most enduring myth surrounding the entire Epstein saga is the widely held belief that his death was a murder orchestrated by powerful elites determined to silence him. The narrative posits that Epstein possessed damaging information on countless powerful figures, and his death was a convenient way to ensure that information would never come to light through a trial.
Peter, what we know now is that at 6:39 this morning, the fire department and EMS here in New York City got a phone call from MCC, which is a federal detention facility here in Manhattan in New York City, where Jeffrey Epstein was being held awaiting trial.
However, despite the intense public speculation and calls for further investigation, including a federal investigation into the conduct of the correctional officers, no credible forensic evidence or prosecutorial findings have emerged to definitively prove that Epstein was murdered. Multiple agencies investigated and ultimately upheld the medical examiner's ruling of a self-inflicted death, while also acknowledging severe systemic failures at the MCC.
Prosecutors say they tried to hide that they were sleeping and browsing the internet during the hours they were supposed to be keeping a close watch on prisoners. One guard was reportedly offered a plea deal, which could indicate more charges are on the way.
Fact: Epstein's social circle included prominent politicians, business leaders, and academics.
Now to the growing pressure involving the Jeffrey Epstein files. President Trump was pressed today after all of these emails have now been made public, some of them referencing Trump himself. The president was asked why he won't ask the FBI now to make the Epstein files public, after the president suggested he would do so during the campaign.
Epstein's address book and flight logs provided a chilling glimpse into the sheer breadth of his connections, listing individuals who frequented his Manhattan townhouse on East 71st Street or traveled on his private jet, dubbed the Lolita Express. This included politicians like former U.S. President Bill Clinton, who flew on Epstein's plane numerous times, and future U.S. President Donald Trump, whose name appears in Epstein's contact book and in unsealed court records.
Epstein's messages, part of a trove of thousands of documents from his estate, now made public by the House Oversight Committee. Trump's name coming up again and again. In a 2017 email to former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, Epstein writing, "I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump. Not one decent cell in his body. So yes, dangerous."
Royalty such as Prince Andrew, Duke of York, maintained a close friendship with Epstein. Beyond political and royal figures, Epstein mingled with renowned business leaders, including billionaire Leon Black of Apollo Global Management and tech titans like Bill Gates, whose post-conviction association with Epstein drew significant scrutiny.
Those meetings were a mistake. They didn't result in what he purported, and I cut them off. That goes back a long time ago now. So there's nothing new on that.
Myth: the FBI and Department of Justice suppressed evidence to protect powerful figures.
In 2007, Epstein signed a federal non-prosecution agreement in exchange for a guilty plea on state prostitution charges with underage women. Little about the agreement had come to light until this month.
This theory often stems from the criticism surrounding the lenient 2008 plea deal and the perceived slow pace of justice for Epstein's victims. While there have been undeniable failures and missteps in the handling of the Epstein case by various law enforcement and prosecutorial bodies, there is no credible direct evidence to support claims of a deliberate, coordinated effort by the FBI or DOJ to suppress evidence specifically to protect powerful co-conspirators. A subsequent Department of Justice's Office of Professional Responsibility review of Alexander Acosta's conduct found significant errors and poor judgment, but did not conclude that evidence was suppressed to protect specific individuals.
Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2 allege federal prosecutors entered into an agreement without their knowledge and then covered it up until just days before Epstein entered his plea in court. Records show in a 2007 interview, Jane Doe told federal agents, quote, "I hope nothing happens to Jeffrey because he's an awesome man and it would really be a shame."
Fact: Epstein's financial empire was deeply entwined with the ultra-wealthy.
So 1988, very important year in the life of Jeffrey Epstein. He leaves or basically reforms IAG. At this point, it's been 7 years. He's very important to many of the world's most influential arms dealers and other people. Almost certainly at this point is embroiled in some of these deals.
Jeffrey Epstein's financial dealings were notoriously hard to follow, characterized by a complex web of shell companies, offshore accounts, and secretive investments, making his true net worth and the origins of his wealth difficult to ascertain. Upon his death, his estate was valued at over $600 million, a figure many still found bewildering given his professional profile. His financial empire was indeed deeply entangled with some of the world's ultra-wealthy individuals.
The J. Epstein Company, self-described, accepts only clients with $1 billion. This is a year where there are only 140 billionaires in all of his existence in 1988. There's not very many people who are billionaires. And to have $1 billion in cash, liquid, to be able to invest is effectively unheard of. So who are the people that this is ostensibly for?
He reportedly managed money for Leslie Wexner, the founder of L Brands, Victoria's Secret, who granted Epstein general power of attorney in 1991. This financial relationship was particularly scrutinized, as Wexner later claimed in 2019 to have been defrauded by Epstein of more than $46 million.
There are names that are very well known, like that of Les Wexner, who everyone knows supplied an enormous amount of Epstein's financial wealth and allowed this operation to happen. So it's, I think, confusing to many of us why there have not been more ramifications for him, and he's been seen as a victim when clearly I believe there's more to it.
Myth. Epstein operated a global honey trap blackmail ring.
Do you think your brother had information, knew things about powerful people that would have embarrassed them, potentially led them to be in the same position as he was in prison, and that was the reason?
I believe so, yes.
This theory posits that Epstein was not just a sex offender, but a master manipulator using his victims and properties to gather leverage over the world's elite. While Epstein undeniably trafficked and abused underage girls and possessed a vast network of influential contacts, there has been no concrete evidence to prove the existence of a coordinated intelligence-style blackmail operation.
So how come Bill Gates and all these other people could hang around him and not see what you saw? Or did they see it and ignore it? Or
no, they participated.
Right.
That's what his MO was, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever.
While Epstein did take numerous photographs and videos of his victims, and prosecutors suggested he collected compromising materials, the notion of a fully operational global honey trap ring, complete with hidden cameras strategically placed to capture evidence for systematic blackmail, largely remains a speculative theory, unproven by factual evidence in any court proceedings.
Did he tell you who he knew things about?
Well, in the 2016 election, we were talking about the election, and Jeffrey told me that if he said what he knew about the candidates, they would have to cancel the election.
Fact. Epstein's 2008 plea deal granted immunity to potential co-conspirators.
Now that their monetary settlements have been secured, the NPA has suddenly become the product of an illegal bargain between Epstein and the government, which the petitioners contend should be set aside.
Now, in 2008, Jane Doe 1 said she did want to see Epstein prosecuted, but the NDA had been signed for months.
One of the most contentious and widely criticized aspects of the Jeffrey Epstein saga is the controversial 2008 Non-Prosecution Agreement, or NPA, he struck with federal prosecutors in the Southern District of Florida. This plea deal, negotiated by then U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta, allowed Epstein to avoid far more serious federal sex trafficking charges.
This matter started as a state matter. It was prosecuted initially by the state of Florida and not by the U.S. Attorney's Office. In 2006, a grand jury convened by the state attorney, the district attorney of Palm Beach County, reviewed the evidence and recommended a single charge.
The agreement resulted in Epstein serving only 13 months in a county jail with extensive work release privileges, allowing him to leave for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. The victims of Epstein's abuse were notably not consulted about this agreement, a clear violation of federal law under the Crime Victims' Rights Act, which later became a significant point of contention.
In this case, the federal office intervened before the plea was taken and said, stop, because if that plea is taken at the state level, you're going to face serious federal issues. Today, we know a lot more about how victims' trauma impacts their testimony.
Myth: Epstein was an intelligence asset working for the CIA or Mossad.
Is there any evidence that Jeffrey Epstein was involved with or tied to the CIA or a foreign intelligence operation?
I think that the safest thing for me to say is all files should come out, whether it is with the CIA, FinCEN, SEC, FBI. I'm not just making these up haphazardly. I'm giving you a roadmap where to look.
Proponents of this theory often point to Epstein's inexplicable access to powerful individuals, his mysterious wealth, and his ability to seemingly evade significant legal consequences for years, suggesting a hidden agenda or protection from a shadowy intelligence agency. This idea sometimes draws on the rumored intelligence connections of Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell.
Maxwell was a special person. He was received in our highest spheres. In our parlance, it was called an useful official relation.
While Epstein certainly cultivated an aura of mystery and appeared to possess an unusual degree of influence, these characteristics do not inherently equate to being an intelligence operative. His connections to prominent figures could be attributed to his financial acumen, his social engineering skills, and the inherent draw of wealth and power within elite circles, rather than covert government backing.
Jeffrey Epstein was my math teacher for the 2 years he was at Dalton. He had this thick Brooklyn accent. He was so personable and so charismatic, and he found what I think was a brilliant way to meet rich people, which is through their children.
Fact: Epstein owned a private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
There was a time I took Jeffrey Epstein's party of 4 out here to the island, and it's basically a woman about his age and a couple of girls that looked like they were 13, 14, maybe 15 years old, sisters. And I dropped them off. Didn't think anything of it.
Guy Dom says at the time, he assumed that the passengers were Epstein's wife and kids.
Jeffrey Epstein indeed owned a private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands, famously known as Little St. James. This isolated 72-acre retreat, located near St. Thomas, became a central and chilling symbol of his illicit operations and lavish lifestyle. Epstein purchased Little St. James in 1998 for $7.95 million.
The island is now owned by a billionaire investor who bought it 2 years ago for $60 million. He reportedly plans to turn it into a luxury 25-room resort, which explains the presence of all those workers. A temple that Epstein built at the top of the island has been boarded up and painted over.
The remote location provided Epstein with a high degree of privacy and discretion, making it an ideal secluded setting away from public scrutiny. Survivor testimonies, including those from the late Virginia Giuffre, have detailed flights bringing girls to the island, where they were allegedly subjected to disturbing abuse.
I sat there in bed just horrified and ashamed and felt dirty, and I had to get up and go have a shower, and it was a wicked time in my life.
Myth: the so-called client list of abusers was ever proven to exist.
In 2015, I started seeing reports online, things on my Twitter account that I had flown to this guy Jeffrey Epstein's island.
Despite exhaustive investigations and numerous court proceedings, no such singular comprehensive client list has ever been officially proven to exist or publicly released. While court documents from the civil defamation case brought by Virginia Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell did lead to the unsealing of approximately 2,000 pages of documents, starting in 2019, and notably in late 2023 and early 2024 by order of U.S. District Judge Loretta Preska in the Southern District of New York. These contained depositions, testimonies, and emails. These documents revealed names of individuals who interacted with Epstein or were mentioned by his victims, but they were not presented as a direct client list in the sensationalized sense.
The first 40 documents have been unsealed. All of them are expected to be released gradually over the next few days. Appearing in these court documents doesn't necessarily imply wrongdoing. Epstein circulated within high-powered circles and was known to spend time with former Presidents Bill Clinton and Donald Trump.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Fact, Epstein was officially ruled to have taken his own life.
The family wants to know, why was it changed from pending further study to homicide afterwards?
So if you're there watching them perform this autopsy, you notice these 3 broken bones, and you believe it would be homicide. So that would mean another person would have gone into his cell, strangled him. Did he have any signs of trying to fight back?
This ruling was made public on August 16, 2019, just hours after his death at the Metropolitan Correctional Center. Skeptics pointed to a broken hyoid bone, which can occur in both self-inflicted hanging and homicidal strangulation, as a suspicious detail.
The ligature was made out of torn strips of orange sheets, and whoever made it had to have a lot of DNA on it, and the brother's been asking that from day one.
So wait a second. So you're saying that whoever made it has to have a lot of DNA on it, and there was?
No, we don't even know if it was examined.
Further fueling doubt were reports that Epstein had previously been placed under watch after an apparent attempt in July 2019, but was later removed from it. The circumstances were exacerbated by the subsequent charging of 2 correctional officers, Tova Noel and Michael Thomas, with falsifying records to cover up their failure to check on Epstein the night he died.
Prosecutors say Tova Noel and Michael Thomas repeatedly failed to conduct mandated 30-minute inmate checks on the disgraced millionaire who was awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges, allegedly browsing the internet, looking at furniture and motorcycles, and even sleeping at their desks just 15 feet away from Epstein's cell instead of making rounds.
Did we miss any crucial details or persistent theories that still plague the Epstein case? Be sure to let us know in the comments below.